It is Daybreak Africa on KAFTAN television again. We're here to give you something very important that you're going to enjoy. My name is Glory Emmanuel.
And my name is Ikhonede Joshua Odeji. You're welcome once again to Daybreak Africa. It's a beautiful morning, like Glory says, and yes, a beautiful morning, a beautiful day. Our discussion today is going to be centered upon something quite important. If you look at Nigeria itself as a country, you will discover that Nigeria has interventionist agencies. The federal government especially have these agencies to look into some critical areas within the country to ensure that there are developments both in the business world, the SMEs, like we have the BOI, the Bank of Industry. We also have places like NDDC, the Niger Delta Development Commission. We're having that even in the southeast and other zones within the nation as we speak, so that proper developments specific to those zones, is given onto them. But the oldest amidst them actually is the NDDC. NDDC have been existing since the year 2000, and ever since then, the federal government have been pumping money into NDDC and many other interventionist agencies, trying to make them achieve their millennial goals over time. But today we'll be doing the scorecards of many of those ministries, so that we can be able to affirm how effective have they been over the years, and what does the federal government have to do to improve on their effectiveness over time. To discuss with us today in the studio, we have a media practitioner. He's also an analyst and vast in journalism. He works closely with many of these interventionist agencies, and he can actually talk boldly on this particular topic. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Alaba, Adeyemi, with us in the studio. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Nigerians.
Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, so we talked about the interventionist agencies in Nigeria, the impact they've had over time on the country and all. But from your own end, what will you, for our viewers out there especially who don't really know much about the interventionist agencies, what can you just say about them briefly as an explanation to our viewers out there?
Well, as the name implies, interventionist agencies are agencies of government that are established by an act of parliament to intervene in specific areas of life and regions. For example, in Nigeria, we have 6 geopolitical zones, and currently we have 5 interventionist agencies, and we are waiting for the 6th one. We have the NDDC for the Niger Delta, covering the 9 mandate states of the Niger Delta sub-region. That is Ondo, Edo, Rivers, Delta, Bayelsa, Akwa Ibom, Imo, Abia, and Cross River. Then we have, after that, in 2017, the Northeast Development Commission was established because of the destruction that has taken place in the northeastern part of the country due to the event of Boko Haram. Unfortunately, which has not ended till now. We would not. I'm not unmindful of the fact that this thing has reduced, but because it is not the regular kind of war that we used to have, it's a war that requires some kinetic approach to be solved. Therefore, but the Northeast Development Agency has been building and rebuilding in local government, because it got to a point that there were about 2 local governments in Borno State that nobody lived there anymore. One of them is Abadam local government. There was nowhere anyone lived. So we have to rebuild, we have to restructure those places and to begin to return the IDPs to their location. Although we still have IDP camps across the country. Then recently we have the Northwest Development Commission, and we also have the Southeast Development Commission too, which is long overdue. In fact, if we were to have an interventionist agency in Nigeria, that of the Southeast should have come first. And it should have come a long time ago, maybe after the Civil War. Because some part of the Southeast that was destroyed during the Civil War are still not returned to their original shape. So, but maybe that is why Honorable Ben Kalu, the Deputy Speaker of the House of Rep, was dancing when that particular agency was created. So far so good. I would say that as for the NDDC that we have seen, at a point the NDDC became a drain pipe It became synonymous with uncompleted projects. It became synonymous with wasteful spending of our scarce resources, because people get awarded a contract of 1 billion, takes 15% of 1 billion and disappear into thin air. It got to a time that somebody with a briefcase company, do you know what we call a briefcase company?
Yeah.
A company that is registered with the CAC but has no known office anywhere, no known staff anywhere. Persons are registered as the owner of that company. They have not filed return in many years. They walk into NDDC, get a contract. If you get 15% or 20% mobilization of a 2 billion naira contract, you are made as an average Nigerian. He simply disappears into thin air. He does not touch anything, or he goes to the field, scratch the surface and disappear. But in recent time, the NDDC has taken a new approach. But as the discussion goes on, we'll be able to talk more about it.
I was even looking at the point of like the NDDC 2000 was when it was created. We just add the not even the one of the Northeast just came up in 2017. Recently was when the one of the Southeast came. But let's even start back a bit from the history. You talked about the place of the Southeastern Development Commission, which should have been in existence,
the first one,
since the Civil War and all that. Do you think, or from your own end, do you think that this idea of having a development commission now, it's maybe the reason why many of them are having kind of lot of multiple issues is because the government never really planned out their coming into existence for years now, if not because of, like, if we are talking about NDDC was as a result of consistent vandalism, consistent fights between the militants when we talk about Niger Delta and the federal government then. So the only thing they could do was, okay, let's bring up a commission. Then after even the commission, we still had amnesty. And that was around 2007, 2008. So do you think that one of the reasons why Nigeria is not yet at a very point, close to total development is because things like this were not created way earlier, starting from the south?
Well, I will respond to that question by saying that as a Yoruba person, in Yoruba land, we used to say it is when the living is useless that you remember the dead. The reality is that we would not have needed a lot of things that we have invented if those put in charge of governance and even civil servants are doing what they are paid to do. For example, today we have what we call the ZIP, that is Zonal Intervention Project. That is what is popularly known as constituency projects. Every House of Rep member and senator is allowed to nominate projects that will be done in his constituency. On a normal day, a legislature is supposed to just focus on making law and oversight functions of the legislature. It's not supposed to be thinking about how to carry out projects. But we must realize that our country is far behind in terms of development. We must realize that our country is a potentially rich country, but it's a poor country.
Very poor, actually.
Because we have the potentials to be rich, but we are poor. If you look at our budget is smaller than that of Kenya. It's compared to that of South Africa, we are way behind. Our country has the potential to be very rich, because that our people don't seem to know the difference between a rich country and a potentially rich country. We have mineral resources that are not processed. People are still mining our gold in Zamfara for free. People are mining our gold in Ilesha. In fact, they've been mining the gold in Ilesha for decades, for over 7 decades, illegally. We were not taught in primary schools that there was gold in Ondo State until recently. We discovered that some persons, artisanal miners, were mining gold in Owo. They were mining gold in Ore. Nobody taught us that in your geography or in your social studies of those days. The reality is that we should have had the Southeast Development Commission before now. We should have also grown beyond where we are today. But let me go back to where I started. Where I started is that had those in government done their job properly, especially the executive arm of government and the civil servants who are supposed to help them do their job well, if we had been doing the jobs well, there will be no need for zonal intervention projects. There will be no need for interventionist agency. But the reality today is that there is a need for those kind of organizations because they understand the terrain better. For example, the current MD of the NDDC was a Niger Delta activist. So he took part in the activism
for quite some time.
That gave, I'm talking about Dr. Samuel Uguku, that gave birth to the whole amnesty
program.
So he understands the problem. He understands the problem well. He understands where and the challenges. So it is easier for such a person to be able to say, if we do this and this and this, we'll be able to solve this and this and these problems. So we need those agencies now. In fact, the North Central are already fighting that they have to pass the law for their own too, because the North Central is the largest portion of our country. Is the largest part of our country. Niger State alone is larger than the entire southeast of Nigeria.
Yeah, very, very big
in land mass, and that is why there's serious insurgency in that area. There are places you could travel for an hour in Niger and not meet a single human,
especially around Bida area.
Between Makwa and Bida, between Jeba and Makwa, there are places you could travel 40 minutes, 1 hour without meeting one person. So that is a potential gold mine for agriculture, for large-scale agriculture. But what are we doing about it? What are we doing about this thing? So, but if you have interventionist agencies, they will have commissioners from each of the states. They would also have director. They would also have a board. They will have staffs. For example, how did the NDDC solve the problem of people running away with their money? If you see any NDDC project today, you will come forward with a proposal. They will announce the contract. You come up forward with your proposal. They award you the contract. You go and source for fund to do it
first.
When you finish it, they will come and inspect it. The one on the street where I live in Akure, the contract spelled out that that person was supposed to do 194 street lights. They counted it. They counted 193. He didn't get paid until he put that one there. He didn't get paid because I was because it was my street. I was interested in what was actually happening. They didn't pay him. They said they were not going to pay you until you produce that one. Although those who have taken the contract says that it's profitable, but you have to do it first. It's different from running away with public fund and running to somewhere to enjoy. And you know, Nigerians, they will start little problem and say that you go and seek asylum somewhere.
I want to seek asylum.
They want to kill me.
And they want to kill me. And the gentleman has run away with 200, 300 million. So that is how the NDDC has solved that problem. We are getting wiser. Our country is getting better. But there is a lot of problems that we still need to solve.
So you made us to understand that it is very vital that the interventionist agencies are very vital for the growth of our economy.
Yes.
I would like to talk about the parastatals, which are the Pharmacists Council of Nigeria, which is not yet like a body in interventionist agencies. We have a lot of drugs. Every day we are casting news on fake drugs and all the rest of the things. So what is this body, like the Federal Ministry of Health and Social Welfare, what are they actually doing to curb these fake drugs that's going around, that's circulating in the country and causing a lot of casualties and death?
The blame for fake drugs is sufficient to go around. It's sufficient,
extremely sufficient,
to go around. We can share it for everybody. Everybody can bend down and select his portion of the blame. We have the NAFDAC that is supposed to certify drugs safe for public use. We also have the Pharmacists Council of Nigeria that is supposed to regulate those in the field of pharmacy. Every state has a Ministry of Health. Every local government has a supervisor for health. Now, the problem, then we now have the problem of our own people traveling to Pakistan and to India to tell them that, well, the active ingredient paracetamol is 500 milligram. But people won't know. Just put 200 milligram. Let's just package it, right? 500. We'll sell it to our people. We'll make more money. You make more money. That is how those fake drugs gets here. That is one. Then number two is that our people who are greedy, who are devilish, who also have one or two ideas about how these drugs are made, buy the active ingredient on their own, package it. Sometimes they package in such a way that the paracetamol content of your paracetamol will now be 600 or 700 milligrams, because it does not have something proper to weigh it, or it will just be 50 milligram and the rest of them is chalk. A friend told me about a gentleman who is a medical practitioner, a pharmacist in the UK, who is a Nigerian, who traveled home, bought our I think it's tetracycline, went back and analyzed it, said most of the things we are taking is just mere dust. Wow. The content, and that is why our people buy drugs and they still remain sick. Sometimes, and our people have also invented machines for removing expiry dates
from products
and rewriting it.
Very, very popular practice, actually.
Now we must also address the aspect of our culture that places money above character, above safety. He's just struggling. When government didn't create job, decided to create job for himself. You create job for yourself by killing your fellow man. Our people are coming down with kidney problem today.
Right.
Serious renal problems, because now when you go into the average Nigerian club, you are buying a fake drink for 4 times the actual price. You are buying. How can you buy debt? Debt used to be cheap,
but now it's very expensive.
We now have expensive debt being dispensed in our club. You went there to enjoy, not to encounter debt. It's fake drinks. Everybody is ripping off everybody, looking for a means to survive. And then when we ask them, why are you doing this, you say you have to survive. They blame the government.
The government that is just
now anyone in nobody in government. I want you to tell me somebody in government who fell down from heaven. Your government is a reflection of who you are.
Yeah, definitely.
For example, Donald Trump just became the president of the US again. But the reality is that he won that election with a landslide.
Yeah.
It means that most of the opinion he holds are the opinions of the average American. Some persons are just too cautious to say it. Some persons are just too civil to say it. Some persons, their bread is attached to not saying it.
If you say it, it's taken away.
So, because they have a society where when you say, like the president just said, that you cannot be in between. You are either a man or a woman.
Or supposed to be
in a media like this, you get sacked.
An argument.
You get sacked. It's not supposed to be. It's not supposed to be up for debate. But you get sacked. So some persons' bread are attached to it, so they will not say it. But Donald Trump is a reflection of the thoughts and the behavior of the average American. So also President Bola Tinubu is a reflection of the average Nigerian. The average Nigerian. That's the reality today. Our people would say, we want this, we want that. But the reality is that, do they really want it? I thank God that you guys work in the media. In the media, I have found out something, that our people do not want the truth.
They don't like it.
The actual truth. They don't like the truth. They like their own truth. You are not speaking the truth if you are not speaking their own truth.
The relative truth.
Their own truth. The truth has to be their own. The person they like is a good man.
Yeah.
The person they don't like is a bad person.
Whatever they do is good in my eyes. Someone I like, whatever they do is good in my eyes.
So it is not about the truth. The Nigerians don't want the truth. For example, Fisher Shoyombo did a fantastic series of reports on the Nigerian customs last year. Up till today, I have not heard that 5 persons have been sacked in the Nigerian custom or arrested. Nobody has been questioned. And in fact, it is the whistleblowers, the persons who gave him information, that are getting killed. Because one of the person they accused in that report is in court, took the FIJ to court for defamation. One of those who are witnesses for the FIJ side just got killed last Sunday. Is out like 2 Sundays ago. Got killed. He got murdered because that person is heading a particular organization, political organization. Is also a church leader. He was shot in the church. Before the members of his church. 3 other guys who used to act as informant to the customs. 3 of them, I think it was in December or November last year, they were publicly flogged and manhandled. I've not heard that one person, and they were flogged by persons wearing the uniform of the Nigerian Army and Nigerian Customs. Now, I have not heard that anyone has been arrested or been suspended as a result of that public humiliation of those 3 young Nigerians who were just trying to see that the society where they were born, where their fathers were born, gets better in their lifetime. So we have a systemic problem. We have a people's problem. We have a perception problem. We must correct our perception that no matter where anyone sees money is good. That let him just have money. Does he have money? Is money involved? Do you know that in Ondo State, I don't speak of for another state because at least I know Ondo well, that politicians had to pay some persons in the state capital in Akure to go and do voter registration? Wow. I saw it, I covered it. They were paying their transport fare to the INEC office, paying their transport fare back home. They also paid their transport fare to the INEC office to go and collect their PVC.
Wow.
It is not happening in Zamfara.
Just under Wanosia.
It is not happening in Kauran and Muda. It is in Akure. You would assume that anyone who has lived his childhood and his adult life in Akure would be relatively politically conscious.
Yeah.
You are deceiving yourself. Are people after registering? I know names, I know location, I know faces. If it requires to mention it, I will. Our people were collecting money to register to get their own PVC. So, and you are now wondering why they will go to the polling unit and not expect to be paid to do the actual voting when they were actually paid to even do the registration.
Well,
before we leave the food, the drugs, food.
Well, I think I've addressed the issue of the drug properly. So we have a people's problem.
So still on NAFDAC, you know, there are some video clips that went around the other time, and I think last year, of a woman going to the market and standing from a distance to take videos of people cutting expired. You talked about expired goods, cutting expired cornflakes, Golden Morn, and the other cereal, and turning it into naked cereals. And then they sell it, and this video went around, and we didn't hear anything like that. NAFDAC went to arrest the people and all the things. So do you think that NAFDAC is just a sit at office name, that they just sit there for people to come register their product? They don't go into the market
to actually search. Or do you even think that what I always even had today, not just even NAFDAC actually, most of the agencies you talked about, do you think they are just there majorly, just like figureheads?
Office names.
Let us be factual with ourselves. NAFDAC is working, but is the performance sufficient to keep Nigerians safe? No.
Okay.
I will give you a personal example. Last year, it was still last year, 2024.
Yeah.
We were investigating the issue of substandard bread in the southwest with a special focus on Ondo State. We went to the zonal NAFDAC office in Akure. We were treated with complete disdain, despite identifying ourselves as media practitioners from a non-media house in the same city. Another thing is that so while we were leaving the office, after being properly humiliated and dressed down, because I don't see any form of humiliation, so why are you bothered about bread? So what do you want to do? And so the person you can speak to now is not around. I told the woman, I came here 3 months ago on the same issue. You said the person to speak to is not around. When is he ever around? Then when I was leaving, about 2 or 3 offices from this, because the office is at the federal secretariat
itself, yeah.
At the center of the federal secretariat, they were selling chin. It does not have that number. Wow. I bought it to see if it has one. So it is 3 offices from the district. So it's not NAFDAC certified.
It's like a grassroots problem. It starts from.
We have a people's problem. We have a mindset problem. That is why when we have somebody in an office that is trying to make the difference, we must constantly appreciate them. We must encourage them, because if we are able to point to the ills of the society, we must say, Mr. Alaba, you have done this well. Okay, you didn't do this well, because some persons have assumed that being a media practitioner is the job of an activist and a critic. No, you have to just say it. If something is working, let us say it.
Something's not
today working. I have spoken well about the changes that has happened in the NDDC.
I was thinking about going back to NDDC actually, but
I am not saying it because of anything, but because we have now seen the difference. We have now seen that in the last between 2023, since these guys were appointed, and I've tried to look at why is it different now.
And it wasn't the same then.
So the young man who is heading that place now is not a regular politician. He was one of those who complained about the plight of his people, who by the grace of God and the grace of politics has now been the head of that organization. If he cannot make the difference, nobody will. Then they also have executive director. Before they used to have 2 executive directors. They will have executive director for projects and finance. Now they have 3, out of which Ondo has 1. They have Boma Iyaye as a executive director for finance, and Boma has a good reputation in River State, and they have Anta Victor from Akwa Ibom as their executive director for projects. And he's doing fine. Then they have Ikhonede Abegunde. Ikhonede Abegunde is from Ondo State. He's a 2-time House of Rep member who is in Akure, where he's from. Is grassroots. As in, he is known to go to places where there is no attention. So if he gets into government, I live in a portion of Akure that nobody thought that anybody would tar the road. Wow. In fact, if they use the road tour for you, can I say it in pidgin English? If they say God will do your life like the road to so and so place. So when he was SSG of Ondo State, that was when he was asked to nominate a road. That was the road he nominated. And after that time, in this new dispensation, we have seen that the combination of activism, grassroots politician,
but just a few places.
Because there is power supply now, but virtually every electrical infrastructure supply most of the villages has been destroyed.
We'll go deeper into that actually. Before we go deeper into that actually, let's just go straight into something else. Let's just go on a short break. When we are back, we continue with the show. Stay with us, we'll be right back. Welcome back to the show. If you just joined us, it's still Daybreak Africa. Now it's time to go back to our discussions. Actually, it was kind of interesting when you were talking. You were talking about the fact that road project. You said something which was quite important. A combination of activism. You know, when you were talking about activism, politics, expertise, those three combinations. You know, I was about asking a question lately when you talked about some of the problems NDDC used to have, and you said something about the fact that many times, which is normal in politics in Nigeria, if the leaders are not really directly affected by the pains of the people, to hardly find the change that is required. We were about even asking that why is it that NDDC is so vital, or not just NDDC, interventionist agencies, why are they so vital to every zone in the country? You understand that to a very large extent, and you were able to talk about, so you were talking about some of those places of the projects, the things being done, the combination. Now, how much can that affect the people at this particular time?
Well, you see, if everybody does what is employed to do, what is paid to do, what is appointed to do, our development will come quicker. For example, if your House of Rep member nominates project that will impact the people, your senator does the same and sees to it that those projects are executed in due time. Your governor is working. Now we have chairmen of local governments. They are doing their portion, no matter how small.
I was about to ask, how excited are you about the local government part of it being involved now fully in development?
You see, the local government, I think, is a topic on its own.
Yeah.
But we would address that too. Maybe if we are not constrained by time.
Yeah.
Now, if everybody is doing something, for example, I told you about the Ondo South having power supply for the first time in 15 years. Now, the power supply has not gotten to all the communities because of the fact that most of the transformers they were using have been destroyed, and even the one that is working in your area, you know that some good boys, some presumed innocent until found guilty in court, would still come there and cannibalize it and still steal the components. There's not to talk of something that has no power supply for 15 years. Despite that, do you know that when that power plant was commissioned, less than 3 days after, in a particular community, I think the Ondo State Commissioner for NDDC, that is Otito Atikashe, made a post about it, that some young people still went to a particular community that they gifted a new transformer and vandalized it 3 days after power supply came back to the Ondo South after 15 years.
Wow.
So if those persons have been caught too, if you ask them why they did it, they would blame the devil or blame the president. Those are the two victims of our ills today. You blame the devil, who in my perception is a gentleman sitting somewhere and not troubling anyone, but he's
we have accusations.
Yes, he is the only one that is presumed guilty until found innocent. So now that is one. Another aspect of it is that the NDDC is also, I researched these things and I found out that they are also giving scholarship. Scholarship.
I have people involved with that.
Foreign scholarship. I think valued around £40,000. So to students, and at least about 45 students have benefited between 2023 and now. Something is coming out in February, because I've begun to question them about that. I have sent messages to this thing, that when is the internship program starting? The internship program is supposed to take care of 10,000 youths from the 9 states of the internship program. You will be trained, but while you are being trained, they will still pay you 50,000 naira monthly for 6 months.
Wow.
You acquire, so that going to acquire that skill will not be difficult. They also have entrepreneurship program to train people in maritime engineering, underground welding, skills that are needed in the oil industry. So a lot of persons across board are being involved too. But majorly, what I have enjoyed the most is the street lights, because I live in the part of the town where it is difficult to walk in the night. The street light, it's an emergency project. They even target emergency project, and roads are being constructed everywhere. Places are being linked. Is that the best we can have?
I think
no, that's not the best we can have. The NDDC can do more, if empowered more, to do more. But so far so good. At least our people would say it is what you have done that we can see.
Yeah.
Now the combination. I was reading a news item recently that the two men from Ondo have promised that Ondo people would have more, and Ondo State is very lucky. It is not because the government is lucky. Because now there is a Southwest Development Commission. So we now have
two benefits from the
interventionist agencies.
Yeah.
The only 2 states that would have that opportunity is Imo and Abia, who are also part of the 9 mandate states of the NDGC. So we are not alone. But in the Southwest, we're the only one in Ondo who will be enjoying that opportunity. People are getting employed too. They are doing a lot of employment, but majorly projects have been done now.
But don't you think that's kind of, I'm just speaking from a kind of my perception, that's kind of cheating. Like, now that the federal government has development agencies coming up across interventionists, aside from other intervention, but when it comes to zonal developments, why can't you just stylishly just remove the ones that they have already peculiar ones to themselves, and just leave the main states of the Niger Delta to themselves to just enjoying the one while you're enjoying the one of the Southwest and all that?
Now now let's picture it. If you want to divide it by ethnicity, we have Ijaw people in Ondo State.
Yeah, Ondo State is quite multicultural.
So if you want to divide it by oil production, we have oil. So in Ilaje, in fact, the bulk of our oil is in Ilaje. In fact, it was in Ilaje local government that oil was first discovered in Nigeria. In fact, before there was Nigeria, they had discovered oil in Araromi, in Ilaje local government. So on what basis would you say that the Ondo State should be removed from the Niger Delta, or should be removed from Southwest? Are there no Yoruba people here anymore? Are there no Ijaw people here anymore? Would you remove the oil from our land? So we are deserving of that too. You understand? We are deserving of that too, of that double honor too, because our people have also suffered. Are you aware that there are communities in Ilaje that have been submerged? Not one, not two, Awoye, Abereke, and some other communities like that have been submerged, that people have been displaced. Are you also aware that there are communities that have had oil spillage in Ondo? So if we have oil spillage now, and are we not still in the Niger Delta by geography? So if you divide it by ethnicity, by geography, by any other thing, we are qualified to enjoy the double portion of anointing.
Well, I was even trying to talking about oil spillage. Last week the president was with the Ogoni leaders majorly to discuss things according to that. Aside from the oil spillage treatment, we're also looking at investments, more investments. You talked about the fact that Ondo 2 is part of all those states and all that, and we are looking at a point where they are trying to, because many of this oil that have been spilled so far, aside from the fact that they are looking towards cleanups and all that, they're also looking for means to ensure that they can be converted to renewable energy and all those kind of things, new investments coming in and all that. Now, looking at the kind of commission we have, interventionist, Nigeria also has a target for 2030. Though the 2030 target can't be met anymore from the way we are, the look of things. We don't think 2030 is possible. But if we are even talking about 2050, even though we don't yet have such SDGs anymore. But do you think that a meeting such as that can bring up more positives for the states and for the zone generally?
Now we must realize that we have to do everything that we can do to bring development to our country. The President of the United States has tactically shut the door on many of us by some of the executive order he signed recently, that you can no longer say that you are a U.S. citizen because you are born on the U.S. soil, although there are judgments that's countering that now. Some states are standing up to say no, but whether we like it or not, they will find a middle ground, and a middle ground means that the kind of opportunity we enjoyed before will not enjoy it anymore. And do not let us deceive ourselves. Why do our people abroad look forward to 30 December in Nigeria? Because this is the best place to enjoy your money if you have some. So it is to our advantage that we ensure that our country work. The president just rolled out appointments of persons as chairmen of agencies. Do you know that Ogoni cleanup should have been done long ago if government agencies are doing their job? Do you know that there's an agency that's supposed to see to the cleanup?
Wow.
In fact, every time somebody is appointed, the Ogoni have more or less colonized that appointment. One Honorable Adeyemi was appointed as director of that agency. They protested. He was removed under this Tinubu government. So if there's an agency put in place to ensure that that oil producing environment is clean, yet, and that person is from your tribe, yet your portion of the land is still not clean. In fact, do you know that after that meeting, the senator representing that zone, who is an Ogoni person, has been protesting in the media, saying that he was not allowed to speak, that nobody was allowed to speak at the meeting, that he was not allowed to speak his mind, that the meeting didn't last more than 10 minutes, that the president spoke, and then the governor of the state spoke, then their traditional ruler was asked to speak, and you said nobody spoke. If the Oba of your town speaks on behalf of your town, and your town not spoken,
Yeah.
now it means that we will still have to go back to the people's problem. We have agencies of government that are not performing their functions.
Many.
Let me give you one. There's an agency called the Agency for the Great Green Wall. That agency is supposed to see to it that the certification does not get to the south, does not get to it's even eradicated from the north, from the Sahel region.
Planting of trees and all that should be.
Despite practicing journalism for almost a decade, I didn't know such agency exists until I read in the news in 2023 that 8 billion was embezzled in an agency called Agency for the Great Green Wall. Do you know that there are NGOs whose job is to plant trees in the north? Who are just to plant trees? If that agency had done their job, NGOs will not be going about mobilizing people to plant trees around their house, trees in their communities.
Yeah.
Yet there are agencies like that, and that is why once in a while, why are we singing the praises of Tunji Ojo? Because we once had an Aregbe in that same commission. Let's mention him now. An Aregbe like that. The only time we hear his name is when he wants to announce public holiday. Demands him to announce public holiday and go back to sleep. So we had him in that office for over 4 years, for almost 4 years. So if somebody steps forward and is performing, and is at least, even if he's not performing as much as we expected, but he's performing, we are seeing changes here and there, we must point to it and say we are seeing changes. That's why we are singing Studio Joe's praise. That's why people in Abuja are saying that that's why we might not like all the antics of Wike.
Yeah.
But he's doing fine. We are seeing projects. They are constructing road, and some of our own compatriots are removing the metal manhole
that is
and causing accidents. We have a people's problem. But when if you have interventionist agencies and they are doing well, let us come forward and see it. When somebody robs our house and the police is able to arrest them, we have gotten to the point where we must say thank you, police, for arresting this person. Now, Mr. Prosecutor, ensure that this person gets his day in court and the right thing is done.
Okay, let's talk about the problem of collaboration amongst the tiers of government and these agencies, because it's like they have collaboration problem. Could this be the reason why the country is really slagging?
That's also another thing. That's another challenge. Collaboration. Sometimes it is difficult to get because some people take ego to public office.
Yeah.
Some people feel like if somebody's name is mentioned, I will mention an event that I'm privy to. A young man was appointed was suggested as the chairman of a board for particular sport in Ondo State. We had on good account that when the name was presented before the commissioner, who is now former, he cancelled the name. They said that this is the guy that we want. He's a young man and he appears to be interested in the sport. He cancelled the name. He said he is a known person to him, that they don't need to introduce him to him. At the end of the day, we heard from good account that he said the guy does not greet him.
Wow.
But the other persons in the association insisted that is the young man who they want. And at the end of the day, he was appointed, and changes have been noticed in that particular sport today. There's a spotlight on that sport today. There are many head of agencies, because most of them are politicians, and politicians always have end game. They carry that this thing there.
Yes.
Now, sometimes you will be in an agency. When you are asked to go to an agency, you are not going there to contest with people. You are just going there to do your job and ensure that the goodies reach your people, your constituents. For example, we have had instances where governors are in their 50s. For example, in Ekiti during Fayemi era, deputy governor is in his 70s. You must find a middle ground. You must work together.
Especially with it.
Even in the NDDC that we were mentioning today, Honorable Federal Abegunde just clocked 70.
Yeah.
And Samuel Obuku, who is his boss, is in his maybe late 40s or early 50s. You have to work together. You have to put your ego aside and work for the people. The president today is from the southwest. He's in his 70s. The vice president is still in his 50s.
Yeah.
You work together. You are coming from different aspects, different regions, different places. You have the major thing should be service. How is our people better served? You can be a councillor and be 70-year-old, and your chairman of your local government will be just 35. He's your boss. If there are areas that he does not understand, that you understand, explain to him. There will be meetings. Explain to him, suggest it to him, sell the ideas to him. Maybe if we still have time, I will go down the memory lane. I had on good authority.
We just have 2 minutes actually.
I think that this will be good for the politicians. That when Federal University of Technology was to start, somebody from the East suggested it, but people kicked against it. Then somebody called him. I think the president at that time said that people will not support you if they don't see the impact it will have on their own community. So go back and suggest that rather than have it in Owerri alone, we should have it in other places in the country. So he suggested that the Polytechnic Akure, which has now become Federal Polytechnic Ado-Ekiti, be converted to Federal University of Technology, that there should be another one in Mina, another one in Yola. When he presented it, everybody saw that one thing will be coming to that region. They supported it, and today generations have attended that school. Generations are working there now. Majorly, what this might be my parting shot is that we enjoyed our people in the NDDC and other intervention agencies to do their job well, and those people in every strata of government to also do what they are doing well. And citizens too should be careful and do their job well too, and they should not wait for money to register to vote, and vote when elections come.
Very important.
Thank you so much, sir, for
Thank
this.
you very much.
I think I like the passing notes more, actually. And the final part, citizens too. We have more of a people's problem, in all honesty, than even the politicians, because, like you said, the politicians did not fall from heaven. They came from our communities, and they are a reflection of ourselves too as well. So we need to do better as citizens and as people generally in this particular time. So thanks so much again, once again, for us.
Thank you very much. I must commend your beautiful studio.
Thanks so much. I really appreciate.
Many thanks to our guests for doing justice to today's topic. It was amazing. He segmented it in different ways, pressed the industries that should be pressed, and also rebuked those that should be rebuked, telling them that they can do better, and that is just it, and telling our youths, ourselves, the citizens, that we are the problem. We should change. That change begins from us. It was amazing having him at the studio today, and I had a good time. I know you did too. My name is Emmanuel.
And my name is Ikhonede Joshua Odeji, like I will always say, and I will still reiterate, the country is ours. The country is our own country, actually. Yes, Donald Trump has made it more difficult to japa as we speak to some straits, actually. So definitely we know that we only have our home. Definitely we all must put our hands together to make something very great out of this beautiful nation. But then we'll keep encouraging us, keep talking about these things, and we won't stop talking. Tomorrow is another day on Daybreak Africa. Till we meet tomorrow, my name still remains Ikhonede Joshua Odeji. Bye.